Okay, I'm gonna jump into it. So we're here today to go over some basic Brightspace tools that TAs might use. My name is Nicole D'Entremont. I work at the SAS, so the Software and Application Support Center. We're located in the atrium, very close to Starbucks, kind of in between, across the hall from Starbucks. So you can pop in our office. We're open every day, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. And we kind of deal with Brightspace questions and like Microsoft support, like Word and Excel and things like that. So if you ever have any questions, you can pop in to our office. We're always there to help. So I'm going to jump into Brightspace. I'm already in a course here. Um, and as a TA, you will find that you have access to different tools and you can do different things in Brightspace than when you're a student. So the first thing I'm going to show is that you can actually do in a course is create a news item. That's right here on the main course homepage. This course doesn't have any news items or announcements yet, so it's pretty easy to set up a new one. You can click on the little down arrow on the tool here. You can go right to the news tool or just click new news item. So that's what we're going to do. And then once we jump in here, um, it's a fairly straightforward setup. You need a headline for your post. And then you're going to write what you want to post. Um, so here, I'm sure you've seen lots of posts in lots of your classes, but I mean, you can post lots of different things, like things that are relevant to the students. Maybe your instructor will ask you to post stuff, and this is where you would go. So right here, this content box here where you type in your information, we call this the HTML editor. It is found in a lot of different places within Brightspace, and I'm sure you've encountered it if you've written any written response questions and quizzes or submitted assignments that are just text-based instead of uploading a document. You just had to type it out, or maybe a discussion post. It's the same exact editor in all of those places. And in here, you can do lots of things, like you can edit your headings, bold, italic. You can use some other tools there. You can change the color, create bullet points. You can insert stuff. So you can insert a video note, something from the media library. So that would be like a video that you recorded, something from YouTube, documents from your computer. You can insert a link. You can insert images. And there's other stuff here. You can create a table. You can change the font and the size. So there's lots of different editing features in this box that you will find all over Brightspace. So the next thing in the news item, you can set up availability. So when the news item is visible to students. And so you can set up a start date and an end date. So maybe you want to just post it, tomorrow morning instead of today. So you could set that up so that tomorrow morning it will show up for students. Or you can just leave it at the time that it is now, and it will pop up as soon as you publish it. So if we're happy with all of our start, and if you add an end date, it's just going to remove it from the student's view, basically. So if we're happy with everything we have here, we can just click on publish. And here we're right in the news tool here. So you can see that your post is right here. If we go back to the homepage, I can see that the post is here. So similarly, if we jump to content, in content, So this course is blank right now. There's nothing in here. But as a TA, depending on your level, or the level of your role, you might have access to create content or edit content. And so these are just the things to kind of be aware of, like you don't want to accidentally delete something. But so let's just create a new module here because there's nothing in here yet. So I'm just typing in this new module box here, and I'm just going to click on enter, and it creates this new module for me. In here, I have lots of different options, so I can upload files. So I could upload a syllabus or a reading. I can upload videos. Maybe it's a asynchronous course and all the videos are pre-recorded. So you could upload a video here. Create a file, makes kind of like a web page right on Brightspace. So it will have like it'll be text-based with images or whatever the instructor builds on it. A link will just be a link to a website. And then you can also start up a new assignment, a checklist, discussion, quiz, or survey right from the content page. And then under add existing, you can add quick links to assignments that are already created, to discussions, videos that are in your media library, stuff from OneDrive, right? There's all kinds of different options here. So in here, you have access to edit these types of things. You can add dates on the modules, add descriptions, things like that. So I'm going to jump over into assessments. So this course right here, I have a bunch of demo students in my course, and I've set up these weekly discussions. So as a TA, you will have access to set these up or edit them, also to grade them. So I will go through all those things. The way discussions are set up, there's kind of two parts that you need to set up. So if I click on new here, I see I have new forum and then new topic. Actually, I'm just going to pause for a second here. If anybody has any questions, you can post it in the chat or just speak up and interrupt me at any time, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. Okay, so back to discussions here. Yeah, so there's new forum and then new topic. So every discussion needs to be set up in a forum and a topic. So the forum in this case here is this weekly topic discussion up at the top. And then the topics are each weekly discussion. So we have to set up the main forum first, and then we set up each topic underneath it. So you can have multiple forums with multiple topics within them. The forum is just kind of like the overarching theme of what the discussions are. That's going to house all of the separate discussions that you want to set up, I guess. So I can show you the setup if we go into new forum here. So we always need a title. You can create a new topic right here if you click on this button here. You can set up specific options here. When you set up the options in the forum, they overtake any options you set up in each topic. So you can do either or. You can leave all the options blank in the forum and set up specific things in the topic, or set up everything in the forum and not really have to worry about it in the topic. So that's kind of like getting really into the nitty-gritty details here. But the different options that you have are allow anonymous posts. Users must start thread before they can reply or read any other threads. That's a really popular option with instructors. And then you can also add a moderator so that somebody actually needs to read. So as a TA, you might be a moderator where you read all the posts before they actually get posted. And then you can also just choose this last one here, display forum description in topics. So if you were to add a description here, you could push that into the topics as well. And then you can add restrictions. And so these are the availability, dates and times. There's different options, so you can restrict it so that the students can't see it at all before the start date, or they can see it, but they can't submit before the start date. And same with the end date, you can set it up so that the students don't see it at all after the end date, or you can set it up so that they can still read all the discussions, but they can't post anything else. You can also set up groups. So if the course has group work and the groups are set up in Brightspace, you can restrict topics to and forums to by groups. And this is actually a really great idea. I often suggest this to instructors that use groups in Brightspace, that you can set up a group chat. So students can at least exchange contact information for their group work, because there's no other way within Brightspace for students to communicate with each other. So this is like the one way to do it. So I'm not going to set up any kind of restrictions or anything in here. And I'm just going to click on save and close. So down below here, we can see our film discussions. And then we're going to add a new topic. I don't know. First movie that comes to mind. All right, so we're going to do a Titanic discussion here. This might be graded out of 5, maybe. We're going to add it to the grade book. Here, I'm just going to create a new grade item because I know there's nothing else in there already, but I could link it to an existing grade item that I have in the grade book. You can add a description. What should the students do? Like, these are the details of the assignment or the discussion. We can set up dates. So this discussion is going to be open from the 22nd to the 26th. Here we can also set group restrictions. Under post and completion, I'm going to say that the learners must start a thread before they can read or reply anything. And then under evaluation and feedback, I could add a rubric if I have one created already, or I can create one right in here. And there's different options to evaluate posts. So if you don't select this, then basically when you go to grade discussions, you are just going to give the student an overall grade. If they've made more than one post, it's just going to be an overall grade on all the posts that they've made. But if you do select this, then you can allow to grade every single post individually. And then you can choose how you want to calculate the grade. So you can do the average post score. So if you give somebody a 5 on one thing and then a 2 on another, then it's going to average out those 2 grades and give that as the grade for the discussion. But there's lots of different options here. And once I'm all ready and happy with my settings, I'm just going to click on save and close. And then I can see here, oh, I actually made a mistake here. I accidentally created a new forum as well. So let's go in here and edit this. So to edit, I can click on my little down arrow and click on edit topic. And right here where it says forum, it just created a forum because I hadn't selected one. So I'm actually going to go put it under film. And I'm going to save that. All right, so we can see now that it is in the right spot, and I can actually go and delete this one if I wanted to just clean it up. All right, so let's get into the grading of discussions. So here we can see actually that there's 2 threads already in this week 1 discussion, and there are 3 posts. And you can see this one in blue here. I can actually click on it. That means that there's 3 that I haven't read yet. So I'm actually just going to click on the title here, and it's going to bring me right into this topic. So I can see my 2 different posts here. I can go and read them. So I see that this student posted that it was a really interesting topic, and demo student 2 replied that they had great points. And then I can go into the second one here, read this one, and that's the post for the second one. So to actually grade these, when I'm in the actual, so here I can see all of the threads in this one topic. I can click on this little down arrow and click on Assess Topic. And then in here, it's going to bring me to a list of all the students here. So if I jump into the first student, I can see that demo student 2 actually had 2 posts, and I can read both of them right here. So once I am happy with what I've read, I can add a grade. I could leave feedback here. And you can edit what it looks like and use that same editor as here. And so once I'm happy with what I've done, I would suggest you click on Save Draft. This will just save it in the system, but the student won't be able to see it yet. If you click on Publish, that's going to send it to the student, and it's going to send it to the grade book. So I would say Save Draft, and then you can move on to the next student. There's arrows here at the top, and also one at the bottom here. And here, all right, we see this student didn't post anything. Just going to skip through until I find the other one that has a post right here. So we saw this is the other one that has a post here. All right, we're going to grade that one. And I'm going to save draft. And so once I've gone through and graded everybody, I can go back here, back to Assess Topic. And then in here, I can see here of the student, I saved it here at that day and time. That's the score I gave them. And same with this one here. And all the other ones don't have anything yet. So when I'm ready to publish the grades so that the students can see them, I can select all and click on Publish right here. Or I can just select the student that I want to publish, maybe just these 2, and click Publish. I can also just click on Publish All Feedback at the top here. So there's lots of different options. So I'm just going to click on Publish right here. So here it's confirming they will receive the feedback when I publish. So do I want to continue? Yes. And now we can see that the grades were published here. So that means the students can go and read their feedback, see their grade. They can see their grade on the discussion that on their post that they posted, and they can also see it in grades. And if we go to grades, this view is going to be totally different to you. So we'll go more into depth, in depth into grades later. But it's going to be down at the end here. So we see here a week 1 discussion, and we can see the grades are right here that we publish. You can also see that there's this little icon here, and if I wanted to, I could click on this and it would open up that submission for me. So I can go double check if I want to. Okay, so that's all about discussions. Let's jump into assignments. So I can show you how to create an assignment. It's very straightforward. I just clicked on New Assignment. All you need to do is add a title. And a grade out of. Let's add it to the grade book. And then here you would put in your instructions. Whatever the student needs to do. You can also record audio or record a video if you want to leave like recorded instructions. You can also upload documents so that the student can download the assignment like as a Word document. And then same as the discussion setup, like we have these options on the side. So we have our availability dates and conditions. So when is the folder going to be open to students? That's what the start date and end date is. The due date is when it's due. So you could have the end date be a few days after the due date. And if a student submits something late, it will flag it as being late. And late will mean after the due date. You can add release conditions. So maybe the students can only see this assignment once they have completed a content or something like that. Special access is for students that need maybe an extended due date or things like that. So you can add individual students to special access. And so under here, for submission type, you can submit a file or just have it, a text submission will just have the box that you can write in. If it was an on-paper submission, so you could set up the assignment on Brightspace, but have it as an on-paper submission. And so the student doesn't have an option to actually upload anything, but they just see that the assignment is there, they'll get a grade for it, and they know that they handed something in on paper. And that's the same with observed in person as well. And then you can allow unlimited submissions or just one file. You can restrict the file types that the student can submit. So sometimes it's restricted to PDF or something like that. And then do we want to keep all the submissions, only allow the last one, or only allow one? So there's different options here. And then under evaluation and feedback, there is rubrics. And so you can add a rubric if you have one. I don't think there's any in this course. And then learning, we don't deal with learning objectives here, so you don't have to worry about that. And we're going to always keep our annotation tools on. So once you're happy with all your settings, you just click save and close, and it's going to create the new assignment for you. So then if we go into grading assignments, we can see here this first assignment here, there are 2 new submissions, and we can see only 2 of the 8 students completed them. None of them have been evaluated yet, and none of them have feedback published. So I can click on this little number 2 here to jump right into the assessment page, or I can just click on this down arrow and click on view submissions. So then once I'm in here, I have a list once again of all of my students, and then I can see the assignments they have submitted. So if I go into the first student here, it will automatically open up their document here. So there's not much on here because it's just a dummy assignment I uploaded, but you can, once you're reading what they submitted, there's lots of different annotation tools that you can use. So this option right here. So there is different, like you can draw, you can freeform highlight. So that's just like highlighting wherever your mouse is. You can highlight only text specific. So if I do that one, I can go and move my mouse around, but it's only going to actually highlight the text. The freeform highlighting is whatever you do here with your mouse. And then you can also erase stuff. So if you make a mistake. You can also you can add sticky notes. So I could do this, and it adds my note here. So the student can click and will see this note. And with those notes, there are lots of different options. So I chose this like text box one. You could do a check mark, an X, an arrow. There's all kinds of different options that you can, what this little icon will look like. You can also do a text box. And so it'll just type in, you can just move it around. And you also have options to do arrows or a box. Maybe you want to highlight something like that way. So there's lots of different options in there. And you can also download the assignment here. So you can download the original one. So if it was uploaded as a Word document, it'll download as a Word document. If you download the annotations, it'll download as a PDF and it will have all the annotations on there. So similarly, a student will be able to download their assignment with the annotations in it as well. So once you're kind of done like reviewing over here, you can add your grade. And then you can also leave feedback if you want to. You can record audio or record a video if you want to do like an audio feedback. And you can also upload assignments. I've seen sometimes people will download the assignments and annotate them in like a PDF software or Word or whatever offline, and then they will upload the corrected assignment up in this area here. So the student can see that feedback there. So similarly to discussions, I would suggest you save draft once you're actually happy with what you've done. So if we save the draft here, perfect, that's saved, then we can jump over to the next student. And so I'm just going to continue on until there is another submission. So here we see this student has a submission. We see it's unevaluated, and this is when it was uploaded. So if I just click on this, here it opens up, and then we can see their assignment. So then we can go through the motions here and grade it. And then save draft. And so once I'm happy with everything I've done, or if I'm just done taking a break, whatever, you don't need to do everything at the same time. You can go back to your folder and you can see here that this one is saved here and this one's saved. And so now I want to publish those grades. So it's the same as discussions. You can select the ones you want to publish, or you can select all of them. And so the button's just in a different spot, but it's right over here. It says publish feedback. You also have, nope, you don't have a publish all option, so you're just going to do this option. So I'm just going to select everybody and publish feedback. And so now we see it's published and when it was published. And so the students will now be able to see that. Okay, I see a question in the chat here. Is there a reason that we might not have the ability to access the assess topic from clicking on the arrow beside the module? If you don't have the option to assess topic, it might not be set up to be graded. So if the instructor set up the discussion and then didn't put a grade out of, like where I had put 5, then there's no option to assess the discussion. So if you want to send me an email or the SAS, here I can I'll write my email in the chat here. And I can we can look into the course and actually, okay, you do see it. Yeah, like if you want to send me an option or what course it is, I can go look and see what the issue is, I guess. Okay, so that's all about assignments. And so let's go to quizzes. So I have a couple of quizzes here. I can see that actually they're already published. So with quizzes, depending on how they're set up, if the quiz is all questions that are that can be auto-graded, then you can actually set up the quiz to publish the grades automatically once the student's done. So auto-graded questions are like multiple choice, true or false, multi-select, things like that, where you can actually set up the correct answer and the system can correct the question for you. Questions that are not auto-graded are any written response questions. So any question that you're actually like writing a short answer or a long essay, those need to be manually graded, obviously. So to actually look at the student submissions and to grade them, you're going to click on the little down arrow and you're going to click on the grade option. And so here, the quiz view is slightly different than the other assessments. By default here, it's just going to show you the students that have submissions. So here we see that these two students have submissions. We can actually filter the list. So if I wanted to restrict this list to all users, I can do that and click on the little magnifying glass, and then I now see all of the students. I can also filter to see who has not taken the quiz yet. So there's lots of different options. So I'm just going to go back to the ones that have here. And so to actually see their submission, I just click on attempt 1. Sometimes there might be more than one attempt depending on the settings of the quiz. Once you're in here, you can see all kinds of information. You can see when the quiz settings, when it was available, when it was actually written, how long they spent, how much the time limit was. I can also click on quiz event log. And then in here, I can see, who the student is, which quiz it is, their attempt, when it was written. And then down here, I can see a detailed summary of when the questions were saved, how many characters were typed out. You can also see things like if the internet connection messes up on the computer and then it reconnects, it will actually say that in this log. And something new that just popped up in the fall is that you can also see when students change tabs. So if they go to a different tab on their browser, I think it also logs that. So there's lots of information here. Also, there's a new feature where quizzes are now auto-submitted if you run out of time. And so it will also say that the quiz was auto-submitted, but the student actually went to the submission screen and submitted it themselves. So it doesn't say that here. And then if I scroll down a bit further here on the main page, I can see where the grade is right here. So because this quiz was auto-graded, I can show you here, there was one question that was multiple choice, and then the second question was an essay question. So it's not great to have this type of quiz be auto-graded because this 1 out of 11 is not really accurate to what the student actually did. So if a student saw they only got 9% on a 100% quiz, then they might freak out. So that's why you have to be careful with your settings. So we can see here question 1. They got it right. There's a check mark next to the correct answer. They got 1 point. It was auto-graded. There is a box here that you can add feedback as well if you'd like. And then this one here is the essay question. So the question was, please explain why the sky is blue. And then this is the answer that they typed out. And so here, this is where, so we say here, not auto-graded, so default value of 0 was assigned. So we can add a grade. And if we wanted to, we could leave feedback right here. And then we can see here now that the overall grade has been, or the attempt grade here has been updated with our new grade. And they have a much better grade now. And so once I'm happy with this, because this one was auto-graded, I can click on update, so it'll update the grade to the students. But if it hadn't been auto-graded, it would have the same options that say save draft or publish. You can also retract grades if you've made a mistake. And so here I could click on retract if I wanted to. I'm just going to click on update. And so if I go back to the grading page here, or the submission page, I can see here their new grade is here and that it was published just a minute ago. I will also show you this other quiz here. So this one just had multiple choice and true or false. So in here, we can see like these were auto-published this morning, and they have, you know, it all looks quite good. We can go into the attempt, and then you can see, well, they got 4 out of 4, so everything's going to be correct. Yeah, all looks good. I can click here, see I have users 2 of 2 because I have 2 submissions. So I can click back here to the first one to show you what it looks like. The question is wrong. So this one here was wrong. So there's an X and it shows what they selected and what the correct answer was. And so if there was some issue here, you could retract it or update it, or you can just leave it as if you're happy. And so that's all the assessments. None of these had rubrics in them, and so let's just pop into this course because I think there's an assessment with a rubric. Okay, I think this one, so view submissions. And if we go here, yeah, so we can see here on this grading page here for this assignment, there's actually a rubric associated here. And so some instructors like to use the rubrics. So you can actually open that up. And basically it's set up with different criterias. And so you can see that each criteria here for this one specifically is worth 0.5 points. And you can kind of read what what the student was supposed to do, and you can grade based on that. You can choose a different level, whatever you think is appropriate on all of the different criteria. And then it actually calculates the overall score for you right here. So it came up to 2 out of 2.5, so it ended up being very good. And it adds the grade there for you. And so it's quite easy to use and quite convenient. So then everybody's graded on the same scale. So that's what a rubric looks like. All right, so let's go back into our main course here that we were looking at. And I can show you the class list while I'm in here. So under course tools, you'll have a lot of different options as a TA, and the class list is one of them. So here you can see all of the students, instructors, TAs in the course and their A numbers. From here you can email all the students. So to do that, you can select everybody and click on email, or you can click on email class list at the top here. So if I click on that, it just shows me a list of everybody. I can click on send email and it opens up this email template here. So you see here, it BCCs all the students. So that basically means it doesn't share anybody's email address. And when you reply all, it doesn't reply to everybody. It just replies to the sender. The subject line is always just the name of the course by default. So you can change that or add more. And then you just type in your body, right, your email message, like in this body box here. You can also attach files if you'd like. And then when you're ready, just click send. And that will send email. So only a TA full has access to that. If you're a TA grader, I don't think you have access to that option. Yeah, that's the class list. So I wanted to go into grades. So yeah, so the grade book is going to look totally different than the student view. The student view that you're used to looks more like this. where it has all the grade items listed and your own personal grades and any feedback that you got. So here's more like a spreadsheet view. You have all your students and all of your grade items going across the top. You can see where there are submissions. So I can see here there's something that hasn't been graded yet. I can see here, these are the assignments that we graded earlier. And these are the discussions. And then down at the end, there's the final calculated grade that auto-populates. And so in here, you can also manage grades. If you go in here, you can actually just see a breakdown of all the grades. So you can see here that some things are listed under category. So here I have a quiz category and I have all these grade items. I can see what they're connected to. So if I click on here, I can see that it's connected to test quiz 1. Down here, if I click on this one, it's connected to translation 2. Then you can see how many points everything's graded out of and how much weight it's worth out of the last your final grade. So this kind of area is like the 11 points is the quiz was actually worth 11 points, but it's going to be worth, well, it's going to be worth 20% of 50%. So it's going to be worth 10% of the final mark. That's kind of how the difference between the max points and the weight. So the max points can actually end up being more than what the weight is. And if you ever need to manually enter grades, so maybe something was done in class or like participation where it's not something that's actually assessed, like a physical thing, you just click on the little down arrow and you click on enter grades. And if you scroll down here, you can just manually enter a grade for everybody. And when you're happy with that, you can also leave feedback for each person. You can leave overall feedback for everybody. I can just save and close. And we're going to save that. And then I can see here, participation, and all the grades are there. And if we go look at the student preview, we can see that the student can see their participation grade. So I think that is everything that I wanted to go over. Those should be all the tools. Oh, there's actually one other thing. There's the Zoom tab. And I'm sure you're familiar with the Zoom tab in here. It's a bit different if you have, so instructors and some TAs can get Zoom licenses. And if you're a TA and you're expected to like set up the Zoom meetings for the class, you can get a Zoom license from the university. And so then you have access to actually create Zoom meetings in here, right in the course. If you don't have a Zoom license, then you probably just have regular student access. And so you can join meetings from this tab. Yeah, and then the media library, I'll just mention this because I mentioned it in other places where you can upload from. So in here, you have access to only, so I'm an admin, so I have access to a lot of videos, but you only have access to your own videos. And this tab here is a personal, so it goes to your personal media library, and it's the same in every course for everybody. So you can go in here and actually upload recordings. If you need to do like a recording, maybe you need to do a video assignment, you can actually just create recordings right in here by clicking on create recording, and it'll open a web browser page where you can actually just record yourself video. You can share your screen, all that kind of stuff. So you can do that right in Brightspace through the media library. And you also have options As a student and a TA, you can click on this admin tools, and although I have a lot of stuff here, you probably only have the media library, which is right here for me. So you can actually also access it from there. So okay, yeah. So I think that's all I have to talk about. Okay, so we got another question. Is there a way to post a news item and send an email simultaneously, or do they need to be done separately? So yes, they would need to be done separately, um, but you can copy and paste your message, I guess, so to make it a bit easier. But yeah, it does need to be done separately. Um, yeah, are there any other questions? I don't think so. Um, So if you do have any other questions or you run into any issues in your course, feel free to send the SAS an email. I put that email in the chat. We're always here to answer your questions. It was really, well, thank you for joining, and I hope everybody learned something new today.